Hello, hello, and welcome back to Call Your Coven, practical advice for nonsensical times. My name is Bee, my pronouns are she, her, and I am your resident numerologist.
My name is Jeanna, my pronouns are also she, her, and I am your resident astrologer.
And my name is Meg, my pronouns are she, they, and I am the resident tarot reader.
And today we are wrapping up 2025, which has been a brutal, beautiful, wild year.
Yes, it has.
And 84 years
It's
in
been 84
1
years.
year.
Yeah.
Within 1 year, yes.
Yeah.
And honestly, before we get into it, my vibe of this year is just I'm a little tapped. It's a little full. We all need to settle in for a nap until the end of the year. So, in terms of promoting things, I will have year ahead offerings, and they're all going to be coming at you the first week of January. So, the best way to stay connected with me is again through my Substack, Swimming in the Soup. And yeah, first week of January.
Gorgeous.
Meg, you have something dropping soon.
I do. Well, it's I have a thing. It's a 3-week tarot journaling series called Tarot for Impossible Times, and it's really just about like trying to implement some ways of taking care of yourself and your community in a way that's not fueled by guilt, or like being mean to yourself, basically. It is technically launching on the 13th of December, but it's also an asynchronous thing that you can sign up for any time. So if you don't make it for the 13 drop, you can literally sign up anytime. I do also have my usual annual 5-week journaling series to kind of bring you gently into the new year, help you look at tarot and numerology, and that starts on January 3rd. And I am also offering some year ahead readings as well in a couple of formats. So you can find all of that in the show notes. We'll put some links in there for you.
Yeah, and the only thing that I am currently actively working on is a new guidebook that's going to be, I am paying to have it professionally designed so that it's not just my junky ass in Canva. And I'm really excited. It's going to be huge. It's going to be like anywhere from 120 to 150 pages. Um, and what it is, I should say what it is the 60 best days for varying types of creative activity, whether you are just a hobbyist or are doing this professionally. I have picked out 5 days a month in 2026 to, start something, revise something, promote something, launch something. Have a beast day and have a rest day because balance is important. So it's the guidebook that I wish I'd had years ago before I started doing electional astrology, just to teach myself how to do this. So I hope it's helpful. You don't really need to know much, if anything, about astrology to get into it, because I'm really just like giving you the most like obvious, do these things on this day, don't do these things on this day, for the whole year. So
I am so excited about this guidebook. I cannot wait to use it. I'm going to put every day in my calendar. I'm just like, I'm so stoked for it. It looks so cool.
yeah, me too. Also, because like so many of my clients, the thing that they want the most, and I mostly work with artists and writers, they want a deadline. They want that feeling of being in school and like, I have to get this in. And that kind of pressure really helps a lot of people. And like, on the one hand, none of us can just artificially enforce that kind of deadline for folks. But I think sometimes that knowing there's really good astrology coming up helps us get our ass in shape in order to meet the moment. So, yeah, link in show notes.
Yes, it also makes me feel very hopeful for 2026 in a way
Hmm.
that I don't even know the astrology of 2026, but
You don't need to. We'll talk about that next time.
like, you're like, don't actually worry about that right now.
Don't worry about it.
That's
Super
future
don't worry
problem.
about it.
I was trying to be like, okay, maybe it's hopeful. Like maybe it's like, again, at least we have 5 days a month of like good astrology to work with.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a mixed bag, right? I do think my high level overview for next year, which like this is not a year ahead forecast, so like, this is going to be 10 seconds. Um, but I think that we're going to have more spaciousness next year to settle into a lot of the shit that got rocked this year. Like, I've said this before, but like 2025 was genuinely like once in a century astrology. And it was a year that followed several years, like the early 2020s, kind of each year astrologically in any other decade would be like the year that's a big deal. But like we've had years just stacked on top of each other of like major shit. And this last year, like Saturn moved into Aries in May, Neptune moved into Aries in March, Uranus moved into Gemini in July. You know, we've had Jupiter in Cancer, which has been one of like the sweet spots, luckily. But like so many outer planets made huge moves this year and really like initiated new cycles, and we definitely felt that disruption for all of its you know, complicated glory, as it were. Hence it's been 84 years,
Yeah.
because astrologically it has also been 84 years. Like,
Yeah. Well, I guess the numerological counterpoint to that is like this is a 9 collective year that we've been in, but it's also the end of a 9 year cycle. So it's not just living in 2025, you're living in the whole of the cycle that was
mhm.
2020, or excuse me, 2017 all the way through 2025. And so you saying that those years alone would be enough to be like, oh, wow, something's happening here. The fact that they all were smashed together in this one larger cycle,
Yeah,
we're exhausted. Like, I
we're
think
exhausted.
we're tapped here at the end.
Yeah, 100%.
So the last 9 year that we all had was 2016. So, and that feels kind of culturally tactile. Like we can all kind of remember where we were in 2016. Were those big years for either of you? Like when you think about 2016 or the end of it, what comes to mind?
It was a life-defining year for me. I was in my Saturn return and I literally moved to New York City with my ex-partner on January 1st, 2016.
Oh,
It's a very easy New York anniversary to remember. But I'm coming up on 10 years now. So for me, that feels very like 2016 to now is the span of my time here, and everything that has, that has happened in that. I also started to take astrology much more seriously and start to personally study it in like late 2015, early 2016. So it also very much dovetails with like the gradual rise of my astrology career. As well as my writing. I started like seriously writing my memoir in 2016. This has been it was a really like big starting point for me. Saturn return, also a 9 year though. It's like all those things, coming together.
my little BTS of why I'm asking this question too is because numerologically, when we're in a 9 year, the nine just goes away in the calculation. So we're left with a personal year that matches our public persona. And
Oh, yes.
so a lot of times our external selves are getting really kind of whipped around in those
Hmm.
years. And so this was the last time that we all experienced a personal yearly cycle that was in alignment with more of like our public external energies. So it's really
Mm,
fascinating to see it from that perspective as well.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because it was also, I stopped nannying. I left grad school. Like when we moved to New York, I officially like shifted out of so many plans I had had for my future, and really started, building the early blocks that would become my current life of, self-employment and working in writing and creativity and spirituality and writing books and doing astrological work. And yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, my 2016, I had been living in New York City for a couple of years because I moved here in 2014. 2016 is the year I bought my first tarot deck. 2016 is the year I started trying to find a therapist, to like try to navigate this literally life-threatening depression that I was trying to just strong arm my way through. I didn't actually get into my first appointment until 2017, which feels appropriate, but it was the first time I was really like reaching out to people and trying to get help, that I really needed. It was a pretty dark year for me. It was a pretty brutal year for me, it was a year that like initiated a lot of things. You know, I wasn't working at startups anymore. I was starting to like really find my footing with taking photographs of events, and I was like getting connected with some different volunteer networks to like help out with some different food nonprofits around the city and do volunteer photography for them. I was building up my client roster to photograph restaurants and just trying to like do all these different things that gave me some more control over my life, honestly. Yeah, it was a pretty rough year, but there were some shining moments, and Tara was truly one of them.
Yeah, 2016 was a pretty rough year for me too, especially at the start.
Mm.
I started by honestly being like, oh, I have to get sober. Like, I have to
Mhm.
not be self-destructive in this way.
Mm.
And I had already bought a plane ticket to travel overseas by myself in the middle of 2016. And so the sobriety was for my New York life, but also so that people didn't worry about me while I was traveling by myself.
Wow.
So it was
Yeah.
kind of like, if I can take a few months and show people that I'm okay, then we won't have to worry about that when I'm overseas. And then the trip was, I mean, really life defining for me and like a
Mm.
real moment of personal resurrection, of kind of coming back into my body and my life and going, okay, what do I want to do now? And so when I went back to New York, and I was really open to leaving New York. It's really funny that you
Mm.
came to New York, Gina, in 2020, or sorry, in 2016, because
Yeah.
2016, I was like, maybe I'm done. Like,
Mm.
maybe the 9 year is taking me to
Yeah.
somewhere else. But I came back to New York in the fall and I got really serious about my writing for the first
Mm.
time. And I met Stacy, met my now wife. We met, and it was still a really rocky end of the year. So I'm not going to
Mm.
say that it wasn't, but
Yeah.
2016 was totally, yeah, definitive in my life as well, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Just to like also share, like, professionally, huge for me. Like, very, very difficult. Like, moving to New York, I was unemployed for the first few months, and my relationship with my ex was in a really bad place. Like, it was kind of like if we moved, we did the opposite of like, if we have a baby, we'll fix it. We're like, if we move to a new city, we will leave all of our problems in Boston and we will be great now. And that super didn't happen. And it was a very painful, like on a personal level, it was an incredibly painful year. And we broke up in 2017. So, 1 year,
1 year, let's go.
start single. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
just to say, like, yo, yeah, it was rough in a lot of ways. And then, of course, like collectively, there was the fucking election. And I mean, I remember last year too, when we were doing our little election episode B, I was so optimistic and so hopeful. And you were like,
I know.
you
I
were like,
know. Like,
but you were
oh.
right. Like, and I mean, just so much about the 9 years bookending these two Trump terms. Like, yeah.
I didn't want to be right. That was one of those things where I was like, this is not what I want to be
Big
saying.
child in the well energy. Like,
The,
I'm
the
gonna
child
tell
in
you
the,
this. You're not gonna like it. I don't like it either, but it's probably true.
but
Like,
it might happen. Yeah, yeah, and I think too I always think about 9 years as showing us really stark opposite sides of the coin.
Yeah.
Because if nine encompasses the whole, then it's like all the possibilities. But one thing that I was thinking about while you were just talking about that, Gina, was we had all kind of looked at patterns in 2025 and not really found many, which is spoiler
yeah,
alert.
yeah.
Um, but I did, and I will continue to look at the numerology of the new and full moons because I've been doing
Mhm.
write-ups in my newsletter all year
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
And most of the new moons have been sorry, the full moons have been 4 energy and the new moons have been 7 energy.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I find that so fascinating because those are really practical. Those are both practical energies, which
Mm,
I have felt all year. Like the all of our tools have been really workable this
yeah,
year, in
yeah.
terms of being effective and generative and fruitful. So very practical, but then also it's like, what are we building? What is dying? And also really aligning us with questions and like hammering home the point of like, we need to be asking deeper, better, different questions.
Yeah.
And I think overall it's added to the tension of the
Mhm.
year. Yeah, I don't think it's been gentle or like offering, like you could choose to make it connective, but like I think it's added to the tension of the year. But I'm curious to see if those numbers shift for us.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
will,
we'll be,
based on 2026.
yeah, I mean, just astrologically speaking, we're going to be having late degree new moons for a while, like for a while. So it'll be interesting to see if that pattern of the full moon continuing to like have the lower number, as it were, and the new having
Hmm.
the later. Um, I would anticipate, I haven't looked at the numerology of the moons. I usually don't look at the numerology of the moons. That's the insight that B gives me. But I would guess, just based on knowing what the next year has, that it will continue in that fashion. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like the full moons have really been shining a light on like the roots and
Hmm.
the systems and the structures and the traditions. And then the
Yeah.
new moons have been like, do you want to question that at all?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very telling here at the end of the year that I'm thinking about astrologically how next year Saturn goes into Aries for good. Neptune goes back into Aries for good. Because we've talked, in the last few months forecast how this little pocket of Q4 2025 is very much mirroring the astrology and numerology of Q1 earlier in the year. So this little pocket that we're in right now, like before we started recording, B, you called it like drop your pencils, you're good, like it's done. um I don't know, I feel like this little pocket we're in astrologically right now is like, I don't want to say the calm before the storm, but like based on the transition, Uranus will go back into Gemini for good, like next year as well. Like we had such a stark transition with the outers from like all being in earth and water signs to being in air and fire signs. Like Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto are all in air and will all be, well, Pluto's still in Aquarius for good at this point, but like the rest will all be in air and fire next year. And like, man, this summer was like a fucking rocket ship. It was just like trying to like hold on for dear life is how I felt like for the summer and early fall. So like I don't know. I'm hoping that this year has helped us get our feet under us enough that like moving into next year, we have more of a sense of how practically to hold on to and maybe even direct the rocket ship. Can't believe that's the metaphor that's coming through, but that's, you know.
It's making me think of when you get a bullet in Mario Kart and then you get,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Meg, please talk after this because hello. But just to flesh out what Gina was talking about,
Yeah.
the only thing that I wrote down in preparation for today's conversation was this idea that the wheel is going to spin and the wheel spins and 2026 is going to be a wheel year. 2 plus 2 plus 6 is 10. You can also look at 1, which is the other practical number. So I feel like those are coming in strong.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm excited to look at both 1 and 10 and see kind of what different flavors they offer. But when I was sitting at the end of 2025, it was like, yeah, the wheel's about to spin. And so, what if the invitation is really time's up? Drop pencils. It's like the test is over. You cannot make another change. Whatever you did has to be good enough.
Yeah.
And that really brought me back to like, okay, well, if that's the advice, if that's the practical advice I'm taking here on in middle of December, what do I do with the rest of the month? And I was like, oh yeah, watch bad Christmas movies.
we have already influenced a lot of people to do, and I am fucking proud of us.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, hell
So many
yeah.
people have
Castle
messaged
for
to be like,
Christmas
"Oh,
High.
Castle for
I will build it myself. Like,
I also watched the latest Chad Michael Murray
Uh-huh.
Christmas movie on Hulu. It was so bad, but so good, you know?
so stoked.
hmm
Amazing. All you want.
Yeah, but also toasting to being alive. We've talked a
Dude.
lot about gratitude, and that's not actually the vibe here. So please don't misunderstand me. But what I came up with was watch bad Christmas movies and toast to being alive. Like, hey,
Yeah.
you're here, we're here, we are breathing, we are blinking, we are alive. And that is something to hold on to right before the wheel spins. And yeah, I mean, if next year feels like a fun, fresh start to you, especially with all this air, fire, bullet rocket ship energy, let it fly.
I don't know how relevant it still is, but the only thing that I really prepped in advance for this was I pulled all the tarot cards for our themes of the year from all year to see if there were any patterns. And I don't see any really obvious patterns. We did have some wands cards in the first quarter, and we had two wands cards in the fourth quarter. So that's kind of fun with the talking about the mirroring of like Q1 versus Q4. We had five major arcana cards. We didn't have any cups cards, which I thought was interesting. And we didn't have any seven cards, which I thought was interesting. But otherwise, pretty much everything is covered and it's all pretty evenly distributed. So there wasn't any really obvious patterns. But I think the interesting thing that I want to highlight is that all three of the one core archetype cards came up as theme cards for this year. So we had the Magician as our theme in May, which is archetype number 1. So we associate that with one energy. We had the Sun in July, which is card 19, and 1 + 9 gives us 10, which reduces down to 1. And then we had Strength we had the Wheel of Fortune in August. We did have Strength in October, but that's not relevant. We had the Wheel of Fortune in August, which is card 10 and is going to be our full like archetype for next year. And so I think when I think about 9, I often think about not just the whole cycle, but also like the things that we're kind of leaving behind that are going to start to make space for the next cycle that's beginning. And so it was really interesting to me in this 9 year that we had all of this kind of one energy. The number that came up the most throughout the year in terms of our theme cards was 1. We had 3 of them. And so that just felt like a cute kind of starting to pave the way, starting to think about what next year is going to look like, starting to introduce those themes all in the summer. That was all in Q2 and Q3, and starting to kind of give us that preview of like, okay, there's a lot of things happening, but like what's starting to get initiated, what seeds are starting to get planted, what ideas are starting to take up space and expand. So that was interesting to think about in terms of like having that kind of one energy seeded throughout this 9 year, especially as we start to look to the next year and thinking about what changes we might want to make, what innovations we might want to make, where our imagination is moving, what feels inevitable and what feels within our control, which all feel like themes. Just a lot of like time and gravity and luck and change are what I think about with the wheel. So that just felt interesting to me to bring up.
Yeah, especially because in our personal 2016 stories, we all talked about a lot of things that started.
Mm-hmm.
So, or like, this was the first time I did this, or
Yeah.
this was the new move I made.
Mm-hmm.
And so, even if you didn't take a lot of action on said things, or if they didn't flourish, like my relationship started in 2016, but in some ways it didn't get good until 2017. You know, like
Yeah.
it didn't blossom into something else that
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, I love this until 2017. So it is interesting that 1 came up as a reminder, like, hey, yes, we're in 9 energy, but I always say I'm really trying hard to put this in a book or an offering or something. I want to talk about the fact that 9 and 1 kiss each other. And they really like are this couplet of energies that feels very opposite but are very enmeshed.
Yeah. I love that. And yeah, that feels correct. Because, like, even thinking about the things that happened this year versus the things that happened in 2016, like, in 2016 I bought my first tarot deck, and in 2025 I published my second tarot book. You know, like it was like some of those stories are not coming to an end, but are very
No.
much like that story has been a continuation of this entire cycle for me. This 9-year cycle has been my tarot story. It's been tarot in my life, and now tarot is my livelihood. It is my business. It is my life's work. It is the thing that I am known for. It is the thing that I do, and it's not going anywhere. I just plan to keep expanding and changing and growing along with it. But that was an initiation that is going to continue. That wheel is just continuing to turn, and that's really cool to think about as well.
Yeah, started doing astrology back in 2016, like getting serious about it, and I sold my first astrology book this year.
Yeah, you did.
So, and I just turned in the first 2 chapters to my editors yesterday. So, like, ending the year on a strong note. Like, the book is being written. So,
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. I met my wife, and then this year we had cancer together.
girl.
Those were like huge literal resurrection years for me. Like, I had an experience while abroad traveling that I do feel like I physically came back into my body and was like, oh, I would like to live. And then this year was another, like, through the death ringer, and like, oh, wow, I will live and like start a new chapter. And so I do think that has a lot to do with the 9 energy, sure, but also that personal alignment with this like really prominent chart placement. And for me, it's a 5, so it's always going to be a
Oh, wow.
fucking mess, you know, to get from one end to the other.
Death and resurrection.
Yeah. Yeah, well, today we're recording this on the literal 1-year anniversary. I went to the
Oh
hospital
my
a
God,
year
we
ago
are.
today.
Oh my God, I forgot. Jesus Christ.
I know, it's really wild to like
Yeah.
be like, oh yeah, okay, a year ago, this was the day. And I promise I'm not going down like a trauma hole here.
Go wherever you want.
Girl, it was the year you had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
well, and I think that at like a year end to be like, oh, I know something here, and like, here we go. Okay, let's cross this threshold. Let's like find out. I
yeah.
do think that's kind of where we are collectively again,
Yeah.
is especially at the like holding on to all of this collective grief and betrayal, and how are we here and how are we going to move forward? It's like, maybe we don't answer those questions this year. Maybe
Yeah.
we just have to kind of be in this little portal of whatever this is, getting from one thing to the next.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that is the trauma talking.
No, but
No.
I think it's real. I think a lot of things happened this year that's like, what are we all made of actually? Because I think that there's a lot. I wish I could remember. If I can find the piece, I'll send it. But I think it was probably by Garrett Bucks, but I have to double check. The White Pages is a really great newsletter if you're not reading it already. But he talked about how there's this desire to do stuff and to always be doing stuff, but for most of us that's not like changing our entire lives. It's adding a little something in where we're showing up for community in different ways. We maybe are reaching out, we're maybe adding some new things, but most of us are not completely changing our lives in order to like build a mutual aid network that didn't exist before. You know, we're all kind of figuring out what are the ways that we can show up and figuring out, you know, what we're made of, and what that's going to look like, and what we can do and what we cannot do. And I feel like this year has been very revealing in that way of like, what are you actually willing to show up for, and what does that look like, and what can you maintain versus what do you wish you were doing, but when you put too much pressure on the wishing, you actually can't do anything at all, or something like that. I don't know. This isn't a very cohesive thought, but I think it's when we're in these experiences of transformation, when we're in these kind of portal moments where we're like kind of getting ripped out of something and pushed into something else, and like forced to reckon with something that is not something we can just fix, it really does like allow us to see ourselves in a different light. And I think that it can be really tempting to then kind of on the other side of it, like shove that vision in a box and be like, okay, that was hard and scary, and I don't actually want to look at that anymore. But I think that one of the things that you have taught me this year, B, is that like you actually can't put it away. It actually has already changed you, and it actually is something that you have to uh, let yourself see so that you can step into the next version of self and be the person that you want to actually be. Like you going back to school in the midst of all of this, like I thought was the most hilarious, on brand,
Yes.
perfect, inspiring thing. And not like in an inspiration porn kind of way, but just like in a, oh, you were like, I know what I want to do, and this is what I want to do, and now I'm going to immediately start taking steps towards doing it, rather than being like, well, that was uncomfortable. Now I know something about myself I didn't know before. Fuck it. I don't want to deal with it, you know? I probably could have said that in 10 words, and I said it in like 400, but
That's
I
also,
loved every one of them.
yeah, that's how B and I talk, babe. So,
Yeah,
you know,
welcome.
talk a lot. So good faith. Like, also, I'm sorry, but like, and I know it's like call your Coven conversation episode. Don't make a musical theater reference, but I keep thinking, like, just going through my head is that fucking little red line from Into the Woods, and I know
yeah.
things now, many valuable things that I hadn't known before. Like, do not put your faith in a cape and a hood. They will not protect you the way that they should. And like the ways that like we learn about what doesn't protect us, and we learn about the ways we maybe thought we were protecting ourselves, but we weren't. And making changes accordingly. I don't know. Also, you're wearing a red cap, so there is also that. Sorry, red hood, red beanie, red gay beanie. Like,
Red Gay Beanie. This is
Yeah.
the name of my underground ska band that
Listen, I'd go.
I'm going to start in 2026.
Yeah, I think you should.
Sophie Strand talks about writing as an emergency and like what like storytelling as an emergency, an act of emergency. And I've been thinking about that a lot this year and thinking about how I don't feel that way about anything that I'm writing and not using it as like a way to doubt what I'm working on, but a way to really ask the question of like, is the reason that I'm not able to carry this project forward because it's not emergent enough or not urgent enough? And, or like, do things take the time that they take, you know? And I think it's with my creative projects, I'm leaning much more on the latter. But actually, Meg, thank you for the reflection of the grad school timing because it didn't feel like an emergency. It very much felt like seeds planted in the dark and almost like a real lifeline. Like, okay, if there's a goal that I can, or not even a goal, because I don't even think it was a goal. It was just like, okay, well, I guess if I survive, I'll have to do something. So here we go. And then the timing of it is wild and wonderful all at the same time. But something about hearing it reflected back to me just now made me think that even if it didn't feel like an emergency or have that sense of urgent, I think that life change was an emergent, like did really come out of an emergency. And to say what I know now, all the valuable things that I know now after this experience are like, okay, let's do it and let's go for it. And also, like, I just looked up a year from now, I'll be like in a training site. And I was just looking up like possible training sites, and there is a cancer centric site that you can go and train at. And I said to Stacy, like, I think I'll at least apply to that site as well as other ones. And she was like, or you definitely don't have to like wade into that. And I was like, no, I think this is why I'm doing this. Like, I think that there's a real component of this that's like, I feel very strongly that there is this whole group of people that I could now be of service to based on what I've experienced. And cancer's not going anywhere, so that need is not going to unfortunately go anywhere. But I was like, I don't feel like it's traumatizing to me. I actually feel like that's why this is happening.
Yeah.
Um, there's my 400 words, but like I just really appreciate the reflection, but then also the idea of like some changes are very clear and straightforward and feel like they kind of have their own energy to them,
Mm,
but not all of them do.
yeah.
It's like the whole like silver lining thing. I think about the tower card a lot. It's like sometimes something changes and it sucks in the moment, and then you look back on it later and you're like, actually, that sucked in the moment, but I'm glad it happened. It brought me here, blah blah blah. But sometimes things
Mhm.
just suck, and like, and there's not like some happy ending or some like beautiful fairy tale or some
Yeah.
like wonderful thing that was revealed. Sometimes things just suck because sometimes bad things actually just happen, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's also a part of being a person and being alive. And I don't think that everything has to have a clear story or a clear
Mhm.
moral or a clear ending or anything at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes things just change and we have to figure it out as we go and hope
Yeah.
that, we know who we are on the other side of it.
And actually, that was way more the vibe of pencils down than like,
Mhm.
hey, don't make any changes.
Right.
It was like sometimes you just have to give up. Like sometimes you just have to put the pain down, put the effort down, put whatever, like, and just be like, it's not going to happen. And
Yeah.
that's okay. The wheel spins. Like it really
Yeah.
felt like a moment that at the end of this really hard year, maybe the invitation is to get really clear about like what does need to be processed and what could actually just be left here in 2025. Collectively, sure, we can ask these questions, but I'm now thinking personally for
Yeah.
everyone here in this room and listening to this conversation, like check in with your personal self, sense of
Yeah.
self from January to December. And in a really kind of reflective but non-punitive way,
Yeah.
like what do you just need to let go of at
Yeah.
this point? Whether that's easy or hard, it kind of doesn't matter. It's like
Yeah.
what's done here. And then hopefully the space will be cleared for new in 2026.
And doing those things without self-recrimination. Um, what is coming through to share for me is that I have had two goals this whole year that I have had in all caps. How I keep my week ahead, like, yes, I have a journal, yes, I have an ephemeris, I have a calendar, but like, I track my everyday tasks and like workload management in a Google draft that is like labeled week of this. And like, that's just how I organize it. It feels flexible enough in a Google draft that like, I'm not, I can change things and it's fine, and things can carry over and it's fine. But in every single one I've had this year, I have had in caps at the top, you're gonna get strong this year, and you're gonna write your novel this year. And neither of those things especially happened. Like, for a lot of reasons, like related to health and medication changes, and I might be in perimenopause. I don't know. I have to go to the doctor. Like I had a hysterectomy last year. I still have my ovaries. Sorry if that's TMI, but like my body's temperature regulation has been in like, and Meg can attest to this. Like we took the train together the other week, and I like because I come home from the train complaining about how hot it is all the time. But this was like one of the first times Meg and I had taken the train together in a really long time, and you got to see like it was 40 degrees out. Everyone else is bundled. I am ripping layers off. I have my
Worse.
fan. Like I am pouring sweat, like visibly pouring sweat. So like something's wrong here. I don't know what it is. But that's just to say I have not got to the gym. I have not been consistent. I finally started here at the end of the year. I had a session with a personal trainer. I bought a 5 second session package. Like it's kind of kicking in here. Like I've held that goal all year, and like just here at the end, I'm in a place where like physically I feel I have the capacity. Financially I feel I have the capacity. Um, because I need someone to tell me what to do or else I just won't work out. Like that's just not how my brain works. And like so I'm thinking about folks who like you had a thing you were going to do this year, but like life happened or things got in the way or the world was too fucking depressing to do anything else and add something else to your schedule. And like just holding those things gently and with flexibility. And yeah, like I had thought I was going to finish, my goal was to get a draft of my novel to my agent by December 31st. That is emphatically not happening. But what I have done in the last few months is I'm co working once a week with a dear friend, and that is my designated novel day. So I am making slow but steady progress. The whole thing isn't done, but like I have slowly put things in place to help it get more done. I love a schedule, I love a calendar, I love a year-end reflection, I love making goals for the next year, I love quarterly check-ins. I am that like insane person who wants to be on top of everything and like have a plan and like be project managing multiple things. And I can get very hard on myself if I do not get those things done in the timeline that I arbitrarily set for myself. So I'm taking it as a sign of growth that I personally am not really mad at myself that I'm not done with the novel, and I'm not mad at myself that I am just starting strength training here at the end of the year. I'm like, okay, but I'm doing it. Like, but I've made changes. It's happening. It's not happening on like my ideal fairy tale timeline, but like it's still like life is still lifing. So, I don't know. Those are my 400 words. More than.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like, what better opportunity collectively are we gonna get to just shift our goals to the next year
Yeah.
and say, hey, it's a brand new cycle. Like, this is not a goal that
Yeah.
I was going to complete this year. That's
Yeah.
okay. Like,
That's okay.
move
Yeah.
it to the next. It also reminds me of the 9 year Trump thing. That's like, I think we're kind of in this till we're in this. It's like this
Yeah.
year was not the year for starting new things. It was for wrapping up a cycle that has been
Yeah.
happening for years. But this is
Yeah.
like such a perfect opportunity to just be like, I will get to that next year in the one
Mhm.
year.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
I also have a book that I hope would be done this year, and it super isn't. So, we're all kind of in that same boat. I'm like, next year maybe will be that
Yeah.
year. But yeah, I mean, think about the big things that happened this year. Like, I don't know, like Gina, I think your goals of like get strong and work on your novel, like you did both of those things.
I
Like
did.
you are stronger and like you
That
have
is true.
started some new like physical strength things, but you also were just stronger as a person in different ways throughout the year. And you did
Yeah.
work on your novel all year and have
I
settled
did.
into a rhythm really specifically. Like, but also other things happened. Like we literally got married this year.
We
Um,
sure got
we
married.
we pulled
I
a wedding
January
together
know.
3rd.
really
Yeah.
fast. We're almost to our 1 year anniversary, which is actually insane.
Feels like we've been
Um,
married 10 years.
it does.
Like
Well, because
not
we
not
were
in a bad
together.
way. Just
No,
like
but we were together for a long time before this, and so it wasn't like this is brand new. It was like, oh no, this is kind of a culmination. This is
yeah.
like the next thing. But I had a hysterectomy this year, which has now enabled me to start lifting weights, which I started
Yeah.
in like June, and that's been pretty consistent, which
And
is
you've
really
been really
nice.
good about it and really
Yeah, not this
consistent.
last month. And my second book came out in the middle of the summer. So like it was a big year.
Mhm.
Like, but it was a lot
Yeah.
of like things that have been a long time coming. I've been trying to get a hysterectomy for like 15 years. Like it was like a lot of like this finally happened after working the whole cycle or even working multiple cycles to get to this place. So yeah, I don't have a neat end button for that, but like just thinking about how many big things did happen this year that
Yeah.
were culmination things and how that does make space because it's like, okay, that thing is done now. What can the next year now focus on because those things were completed?
Yeah. I'm thinking too, be about how you said that whenever we're in a 9 year, it is a kind of amplification, direct reflection of our public persona number. Because
Yeah.
this year was really big for me branding. Well, it's been very behind the scenes. Not a
Mhm.
lot of it is launched yet, but like I invested a significant amount of money in a rebrand and also getting my website totally redesigned, totally redone. That has not been launched yet. Like it's coming in the one year probably.
Yeah.
I I also did a lot. And this is like really superficial, but like I went back to my natural hair color. I transitioned to wearing glasses. I totally stopped wearing contacts. I don't know. I did a lot of I started getting my nails done again. Like I started a lot of like very literal appearance changing, feeling more myself. Like how do I present myself to the world? Like I don't know. A lot of that happened for me in some really loud ways this year. Yeah,
Yeah, and you're a 7 public persona, right?
I am. Yep. Which I don't know what B tells me what that means. I don't really know what that means, but I know that
Well,
it's been a big year for my like branding and just getting like really fucking clear on what I want to be doing and what I want to be known for.
Well,
yes.
yeah, I mean,
That's
yes,
fine.
yes, great. Yeah, the
You
Cool,
nailed
you did it. Congrats.
you check, check, check. But
it.
also, it's not surprising to me at all that it's all happening behind the scenes or in the dark because 7 is underneath and then 8 we pop out. So like,
That's
yeah,
nice.
so it all in due time, but it
Yeah.
really does sound very aligned.
Mm,
And not the appearance stuff, the superficial stuff, I don't think it's superficial because that is what
mm,
we're talking about. Like it's external and
yeah.
that doesn't inherently make it vain or superficial
Yeah.
to talk about. I mean, I'm really excited to I just said to Stacy this morning that I'm going to take a screenshot from every monthly forecast of Coven
Yeah.
and put them all next to each other so that you can literally just see. And I have a 5 public persona, so it's all about change. You
Yeah.
can literally just watch the flip
Mhm.
book of my hair.
Yes. Oh, I love,
I cannot
love.
wait.
I'm really grateful that this podcast and all of
Mm,
our videos have allowed me to document
yeah.
this journey in a way that wasn't traumatizing to do so.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm,
it wasn't me taking pictures of
yeah.
myself and saying, like, one day I'm going to look back and want to know. It was like,
Mhm.
I have loved spending the year in this room with the two of you. I have adored connecting with everyone who has listened and reached out to us. And it's been so life-giving in like
Yeah.
the most literal of senses. And it's really allowed me to also have this very important and intimate time
Mm,
capsule
yeah.
in a way that yeah, it just never feels painful to look
Mm,
at because it's like, oh, I'm gonna find a picture of me smiling or laughing in each of the forecasts because it's like I do that when I look for thumbnails anyway, so
mm,
I've kind of already done it, but it's like, yeah, it's always been a joy to be here. And even at like
mm.
my baldest, I was like, let's do it, baby.
Yeah.
So nice.
Live from the hospital bed, it's Bee Scolnick.
I don't
Truly.
even think anybody knew that at the time. I was like,
I don't
no,
think anybody did.
We didn't say it.
We didn't say it.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was our January forecast that we
Probably.
did.
That makes
Yeah,
sense. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
that felt so wild for me to be like, here's my practical advice from
Yeah.
coming at you live from Cedar Sinai,
I do
Beverly
think
Hills.
you noped out of health. I think that's when you started noping out of health. You were like, I'm actually not going to do this. And we were like, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, babe.
Good.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, what do I have to say to anyone right now? Like, I'm
Yeah.
diseased. Yeah. But that was a huge culmination, right? Of like a
Yeah.
few years of mystery and struggle. And so,
Mhm.
Meg, what you said about seeing these things that's like, okay, now that I have an answer to this, or now that this procedure has happened, or this book has come out, then like it's off my plate. I don't have to
Yeah.
ask this question anymore. I don't have to spend time or energy thinking about this anymore. Like I do just get to move forward.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what this year has felt like for me as well, stepping back and looking at like long awaited answers and treatment, and then just being like, whoa, what's it going to be like to not have that be such a big part of my experience of next year? Knock on all the wood. But
Yeah.
yeah, because that's been like so much of my energy for the last few years has just been so wrapped up in health.
Yeah.
And it'll be wild. Like it is a wheel spin. I'm like, okay, what do I look at now? Yeah.
Yeah, what a literal 5 experience. Like, I
Truly.
love that. Wild.
You're like, what if next time I had a 5 year, it wasn't a death and resurrection story?
What
Like,
if?
Quite
what if we couldn't
literally.
do that again? Like,
5 years have always been super loud for me,
Mhm.
and I do encourage people to go back through their personal, like public persona years. So it could be whatever, if the math is easier for you to calculate the 9 years, it'll just be those years. But the 5 years have always been really loud for me. And I have to now remind myself of that at the beginning of the 5 year and be like, you're going to get through, it's going to be loud. It's going to be what it is, but you're going to be okay. Yeah. The 5 year, my first one that really knocked on my door and was like, hi, I'd like your attention that was the year that I had my break from the church.
Shit.
oh,
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah, that my
A kind
pastor
of death
told
and
me.
resurrection,
I know,
honestly.
I
Like,
know.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that my pastor told me God was disappointed in me, and I was like,
Fucks.
that doesn't feel true to my experience, sir. Like a real hierophant.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the last 9 year before 2016 was 2007.
Mhm.
Whoa. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I graduated from college in 2007.
yeah. I was in college. Well, I met my ex-husband that year. So,
Mhm.
Well,
Yup.
you win some, you lose some, you know? Like,
which
it's
I'm pretty sure we've already said in this conversation. We're like, some years you're up, some years you're
some
Yeah.
down.
years you're down.
Wheel.
Some years
Wheel
you meet
comes
a
for us
man who
all.
dresses up as Moses for Halloween, and you're like, sure, that one. I know. I
Okay,
know.
you can't just drop something like that at the end of this conversation and expect us to not talk about it.
I have so much lore about him and that relationship that, in spite of having written a memoir that's ostensibly about it, has never seen the light of day. Watch, it'll all come out in Call Your Coven podcast.
I hope you're
Um,
listening. All right, any last thoughts for 2025? Besides good riddance.
Good riddance.
Same.
I
I'm trying to
literally
think of
was
anything
thinking
besides
that, B.
besides
I
good
literally
riddance.
was thinking that. That's so
Yeah.
funny.
Same.
I mean, honestly, rough year in so many ways, but like when it comes to things that I think about, like with personal connection and friendships solidifying, and this podcast, doing this together, and like our discords and our D&D games, and like friendships I've made through writing this year, like there's been a lot of things that have feel like they have really hunkered down and really like been tremendous supports for the collective madness. And so not just to say good riddance, I'm also like really grateful for, not to be like I'm grateful, but like I don't know, it's when it's been bad, it's been really bad, but when it's been good, it's been like I fucking love my life. And this is what I've wanted for years. So, like you said at the beginning, B, opposites.
Opposites. Well, and I want to amend my good riddance to the full title, Good Riddance, parentheses, time of your life.
Uh-huh. Correct. That's the
So,
episode title, actually.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a six public persona, so I was in a 6 year, and I think I really saw that in community, in service, in connections, because yeah, it was a very heavy year collectively, but I feel like the ways that I was able to show up for clients, for friends, for people in my neighborhood, for organizations that I've wanted to work with for a long time, for I've started working at my local bookshop and I run events there, and like there's just been a lot of, and yeah, we host D&D. We've been doing all of these different things for like chosen family, our wedding, other weddings. Like there's just been a lot of service and community and like reciprocity and care, just themes throughout the year that I've seen all all year long. And that's been really beautiful, and that's been so foundational in surviving this year. Even when the news is awful, I have never felt alone with it. I've never felt like I had to hold it by myself. And that's meant everything. And this podcast, honestly, like really and truly.
Wait, are we 5, 6, 7
Yes, we
couple
are.
persona numbers? Because
Yeah,
that
we
is
are.
so cute.
It's super
That's
cute.
so cute.
Yeah.
Oh God, no wonder we're like, we need help getting through this.
Uh-huh. We're just out here in the middle holding it down.
No.
Mhm.
Okay, I love this. I love this. I love this. Yeah, I mean, I think that I've had really similar experiences with community, but I think what's coming through now is like that's the gift of the 9 year is
Mhm.
9 is the all. It's the humanitarian. It's humanity and community and collective. And so that is the gift that we
Mhm.
know at the end of this year that we are not alone,
Yeah.
that we don't have to shoulder experiences or burdens or overwhelming news cycles alone. And I actually hope that's one thing that we can carry with us into 2026 when one energy coming in could squeeze us back into some kind of isolation or self-centeredness. And again, that's a positive and, has pros and cons to it as well. But I think that's a real gift that we clearly all three of us have had, and I hope others listening have been able to see a real culmination in community, and that doesn't go away just because we're moving into 2026.
Yeah, one can be the collective too, not just the individual. We get to
Yeah.
have both.
Well, yay,
Cute.
2025.
Whew.
And
On to the next.
On to the
see
next.
you soon, 2026. Yeah.
Yes. We will be back with a January forecast.
We sure
We're
will.
gonna get it together. And I hope to not be in a hospital bed when we record it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, happy holidays. Happy New Year to everyone. We will see you in a few weeks to talk about 2026 for real.
Yeah. And in the meantime, thank you for spending 2025 with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
We love y'all.